Hey y'all. Guess what day it is? It's Thursday. Correct. It is Thursday. So it is another day, another episode of Crystal Talks Cancer. And I am so extremely excited about tonight. We do have a guest tonight. Y'all don't have to just listen to me ramble. We have a guest tonight, and I am so thankful, and I am ready for you guys to hear this amazing testimony and meet this beautiful spirit. But as you know, I come on early so that I can get all of my tagging out of the way, so that I can cross post and do all of the things that I need to do on my end. Because as you know, I am production, okay? I am the host, I am production, I am all of the things. So we come on 15 minutes early so that we can cross post, get our viewers in the room. We know everybody had something going on, and sometimes we just forget. So I like to take this time to tag certain people that I know are normally here and give everybody the chance to come in. Let's see. Trying to see what's going on, because I just got on my laptop. If you are in the room, please let me know that you're here, because I just logged into my laptop to see this particular live so that I can start tagging, and it's talking about it's something wrong. And I know that I am on live right now. I know that you guys should definitely be able to see me, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Can y'all see me on here right now? Because according to my laptop, they're having problems viewing this particular live. Let me see. It says somebody is in here. Let me see. Because I might have to stop and start it back. I might have to run it back if I can't. Or is it my computer? Just bear with me for a minute. If you can see me, let me know that you can see me. Let me know that you can hear me. If you can only hear me or whatever, let me know. I can only hear you. I can't see you. Because on my laptop, it's not allowing me to see this live, y'all. I don't know what's going on. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Because it says we're having trouble playing this video. Like, what kind of trouble could you possibly be having if I am currently on live? Like, Facebook is full of surprises. Hey, Toya, can you see me? Can you hear me? See, I done got on here with my good commentary earlier, and now Facebook want to trip. Because I can't highlight, I can't tag. Cassie, it shows that you're in the room. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Okay, you can see, and y'all can hear me and see me just... So why is it not letting me on my laptop? This is... Okay. Oh, chat. Facebook and all these updates and all this extra stuff that they got going on, y'all, it's driving your girl a little bit. I ain't gonna lie to you. We gonna move over to a different platform. I'm working on YouTube, which I have to be more obedient about getting those. You know something? Let me tell y'all something. So since I've been doing this since 21, it's a lot of videos. And when I say I wanted to upload them in order, but it's close to impossible for me to be able to do that. And I say that because when Facebook like sends you the links to download the videos, they're not in a particular order. They just sending you whatever they sending you, and you gotta kind of figure it out. You gotta kind of figure that out. How is everybody doing? How is your week going? I know I'm having technical difficulties on my end because y'all, this video is legit not showing on my page. It said that it's having a problem loading the video on my laptop. So I don't know what's going on. Cassie said it's great to see you. It's great to have your support, and I can't wait to see you, ma'am. I cannot wait to see you. And I didn't even realize that today was Thursday, because in my mind I was gonna pop up on the ministry, and Roger was like, "Well, you know, today is Thursday." I've had so much going on that I haven't been able to. I hadn't slowed down long enough to. This is crazy. I hadn't slowed down enough to kind of focus. So y'all just be prayerful over my family and our situation in this particular season that we're in. As a lot of you know, like, once you go through the journey, everybody's like, oh, you know, life is great. You can go back to, and that's just not the reality. But just please uplift us in prayer as we navigate through all of the things of the residual from this journey. And I'm really hoping and praying that God is using this opportunity to show me a new way to do life. I'm glad that Beloved was great today. And like I said, I hate that I missed it, because I was like, oh, I'm going to pop up on them. And look, I was in my bed. I'm not going to lie to you. I was really in my, I was in my bed. And then I had someone, I don't want to say who, but we went to lunch, and God is definitely using this season to connect me with people. And the crazy part is, like, have y'all ever been in a season where you feel like you are just going through, but at the same time, when you see other people going through, you like, listen, we got this. We got this. Like, we gonna get through this. And at the end of the day, we gonna thank God, because we ain't looking like what we going through. That's where I'm at right now. So we're in that particular season. I can't tag people. I can't cross post this tonight. Because on my laptop, it says that they're having trouble playing the video. So if you can see me and you can hear me, I had Cassie and Toya said that they could see me and they could hear me. It's just crazy. And maybe it's doing that because now with this update, they got it on 2 different platforms or something. I don't know what's going on. So maybe I can't look on my laptop and do it this way at the same time. I don't know. If anyone is in the group, because I don't want to cross post it if they can't see it. I don't know what's going on. If anybody is in any groups, I'm not going to call any out by name, but I typically cross post in the group. And if you know what group I'm speaking of, please cross post this live in that group for me. Because I am not able to do it tonight. How is everybody's week? How is everybody's week? Talk to me while we get our guests. Anna, I see that you are here. Whenever you're ready to join, just let me know. While I try to figure this out on my end, because I think I can tag people, but I don't know how it'll look if I cross post it. How is your week going? Is everybody having a good week? Anything new? Is there anyone going through something, maybe needing some kind of guidance on anything? Or this is why we're here, and this is why I typically cross post in the other group, because I know we have a lot of people who are newly diagnosed and going through needing guidance. And it don't even have to be guidance through cancer. It can be just real life. You know, if you need any support on anything, you know, we're here. Let me know. I do ask that you all be in prayer for one of the ladies that is connected to the cancer community. She had to have heart surgery. I'm not going to put her out there. I just pray that y'all ask for complete and total healing over her, in her mental, her emotional, her physical. As you know, like, going through the journey, it has a lot of moving parts. And a lot of times, you don't have the opportunity to slow down and even feel the feelings or the emotions because it's a lot at once. And y'all may hear me in a minute have to get my people together because apparently my son just he doing what he doing. Let me see. Try to add our guest on. Anna, I need you. If you are still here, it's not giving me the option to add you. So if you see requests to join, please do that. Let's see. Hold on real quick. I gotta be your mom. Okay, y'all. My apologies for that. Okay. So our guest is having to switch to their phone, but I'm excited. I am excited. Y'all are definitely in for a treat. An amazing testimony, good conversation. If you are new here, please let me know that you are here. Y'all, please don't be shy. Like this is an open place. This is a very supportive community, and I do want to give you guys disclaimers. I am not a doctor. Nor are the people who are coming on this live. We are not doctors. We are not trying to tell you how to navigate through your journey. We are just sharing our experiences. And one thing that is important for everyone to know, your experience and someone else's experience is two different experiences. We all go through the journey. We go through it different. I want you to take what you need from this. This is wild to me. I need you to take from this all things positive. If it don't apply, let it fly. We don't come here to uplift you, encourage you, and give you hope. And a lot of times when we going through a cancer diagnosis before, during, and after, there is a lot of hope that is missing. I can't even tell whether I'm centered in this thing or not because my laptop ain't working. So I definitely need y'all to let me know if y'all can see me. Like, can y'all see me? I need y'all to talk to me in the comments because my laptop is not my friend today. Facebook doing something, and I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like it.
Hello, hello.
Hey, it keeps saying check my connection, restart my computer, which I've already did that. Can y'all see me? Can y'all see our guest? I can't see. I can't see on my end. Like it's crazy tonight. Are y'all looking at my nose? Like, can y'all see my full face?
I know I can see you.
You can see me like full body, like face.
It's like I can see your face.
Okay. Hey Kay, thank you for joining us tonight. Hi Victor, thank you. Um, okay, we gonna have to roll with it because I can't see me. Like I can't, and it's crazy because I can see it on my story, but for some reason it says we're having trouble playing this video. Look, can y'all see that?
Huh. Interesting.
So I can't see any of it. Okay, y'all say I'm just gonna I can't move the computer. So I can see the comments still. I can do all of the things. All of the things. I can do all of the things. But I just can't see y'all. So y'all still please engage, please comment. If you feel led, please send stars so that we can get that on the algorithm, and for those who really need these lives, they'll be able to find them. I'm trying to get the comments up, y'all. Bear with me. Okay, so I can see what's going on at least. Okay, all right. So what time is it? Okay, we got a couple more minutes. I just want to make sure that I'm giving everyone the opportunity to come in that wants to be here. Let me see. Kay said we see you both. I see you both. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Cassie. I pray that everybody's having an amazing week. Um, yeah. Let me see. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're not gonna wait too long. We're gonna get started in a minute. I do have a question because I know a lot of times whenever I'm doing lives, a lot of people we are in different time zones. This is just the reality. We're in different time zones. So I am thinking starting next week, I may do pop-up lives. How many of you um would support pop-up lives? And hopefully I don't run into this issue that I'm running into right now with the computer and stuff. But I feel like making myself available for those who really need the guidance, who really need some type of support, because I see a lot of things when I am in these groups. I am not very active in groups. However, sometimes I will inbox and have conversations with people, but there's so much going on, and I am um, not an admin, but a moderator for a chemo group. And there's a lot of things that I'm starting to see that needs to be addressed and talked about. And it's not something that can actually wait. So this is how I'm going to do that different. Like starting next week, y'all might see me pop on at random times, and that's what that's about. And I hope that you're able to support and be a part of that conversation. So I wanted to kind of put y'all in the know about that, just in case you feel like, oh, did I miss it? You're not missing it. You can always rewatch if you're not able to join. But I wanted to make you guys aware of it. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. I was trying to wait until 8 at least to get started. So now that it is 8 o'clock, Anna, could you introduce yourself to everyone, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna. I am currently leading a women's ministry, but also am a missionary that is getting ready to go on a mission trip in July. I love Jesus, and He has healed me, and I'm excited to share what He has done in my life. And I hope that my testimony will serve as an encouragement to you all.
And I want to thank you for being here. And I'm excited. Like
Thank you for having
our
me.
conversation. And y'all may hear my son in the background, which is actually starting to annoy me just a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I have children. This ain't a secret. And it's not that I hear him in the background. It's the fact that we can close the door and I don't want to have to yell to say that. But please be mindful. I do have children and you probably hear them in the background. So try to just bear with me with that. But I thank you for saying yes and for coming to give hope, because it's important to be transparent even when we go through like hard seasons. I personally believe that that's just God's way of giving us that testimony to help someone
Yeah.
else. And you're doing just that today. So
Yes.
thank you for your time and your commitment to be here
Thank you
to
for
share.
having me. I appreciate it.
Anna, could you let us know like what was life like before you were diagnosed?
Um, it was crazy. No, I'm just kidding. In a sense, it was just anything. I was such a going out person, going here, going there, shopping, doing all kinds of things. I was very active. I like to be out. I didn't like to be at home at all. So I was always very active, very engaged with friendships and going to do things, and active in my church. So that was also one of the things that I could say is just being very active and working a lot.
So would you say that you were stressed, or were you, because I know you said you were out a lot. So some people will be like, oh, working out a lot. So I was stressed because I was constantly going. There was always something going on. Would you say you were stressed, or you were just living life and enjoying life?
I was just living life and enjoying it, actually. One of the things is I also used to work out a lot, and so that would help with the stress relieving. But I was just enjoying life and living life.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So how did you find out that you had breast cancer?
I had uterine cancer.
I'm sorry.
Uh, it's,
I don't know why
it's
breast
okay.
cancer.
So actually, when I in 2015, I went to Poland to become a missionary. I was a full-time missionary in Poland. I had arrived in Lublin, Poland, in May of 2015. By November of 2015, I ended up in the emergency room, very ill and a lot of pain. By that Saturday morning, that was a Friday, I was admitted. Doctors couldn't find anything wrong with me. They didn't know what was happening. But they admitted me in the hospital. By Saturday, they gave me the news that my blood pressure was dropping, that my organs were wanting to shut down, that I was dying pretty much. But they couldn't tell me what was going on. So I needed to have a surgery to save my life. And I eventually gave my yes. Let's have surgery. Um, some people might think, well, what caused you to think about it? Well, number one is that I was in the middle of changing insurances, so I didn't have the money to pay for that. Number two is that there was an uncertainty of what was going to happen during the surgery because they didn't know. But of course, having friends and people in your life is very important, especially in those difficult moments, right? So my best friend at that time, she was like, "What are you thinking about? You need surgery to save your life. Period. You'll deal with the outcome." And to me, I was like, you know what? You're right. So in a matter of an hour, I said yes. I was in the operating table. They saved my life. I was in the hospital for 9 days. I went home. 2 weeks later, came back in December, the beginning of December 2015, for my follow-up appointment of my surgery to make sure everything was going well with my surgery, the healing was going well. Is when I found out that I was diagnosed with stage 3 out of 4 uterine cancer. And that's where I was diagnosed, is on the mission field.
So, what was your mental like when you got the news? Because I know that you were not in the United States. Like,
Right.
what was your mental like? How did you go through that mental and emotional process? Being away from home, hearing that you have just been diagnosed with uterine cancer. Did you have anyone relatable in your family that may have gone through a journey of cancer? Like, what was that like mentally and emotionally for you?
Well, of course, I was in shock to receive the news. I never in my mind, in my life, ever imagined that I would be that person to have cancer. Not because I thought any better, not because I thought any special, because you hear stories of people and it sometimes doesn't seem so real until it really hits you, until it's actually you is the person. And so I was very emotional. I was driven home by the pastor's wife and I cried all the way home. When I got to my flat in Europe, we call them flats, apartments here, of course. Um, I sat in the living room on my couch and I just wept. The first thing that I did is I talked to the Lord and I cried and I said, God, I don't question why, because I know there's a purpose and I know that this is going to bring glory and honor to you. I don't ask why.
Yeah.
I just asked two things for the Lord. I said, God, um, I need two things from you. Number one is I need your strength to endure whatever I'm about to go through. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what I'm facing at. Nobody in my family had had cancer. So I was like the first person in my family to have to deal with cancer. And so I couldn't even depend on family to say, hey, what is this like? I didn't have nobody like that. And so, number two, I said, God, I need provision. Being on the other side of the world, I could not travel back. Maybe I could have if I would have arranged certain ways of transporting in between connections and stuff with maybe a wheelchair or something like that. But talking to the Lord, he instructed me to stay there. And so I stayed in Poland. I asked God for provision. And provision, sometimes we limit God to finances, but that's not all. provision is in every aspect of our life, whether it's companionship, whether it's a family, whether it's some people to help you and take care of you. It's a friendship. It's a lot of things. So I began to talk to the Lord and ask him for provision of what I was about to need. Because like I said, I was alone on the other side of the world, no family, no relative there. It was wintertime in Poland. And in wintertime in Poland, it gets really cold and it snows a lot. And so
Mm,
it was a very tough emotional moment. Mentally, you want to revert to what if I die? What if this? What if that? The what ifs begin, right?
yeah.
But I thank the Lord that I have him, because I drew my strength from him and he was able to come in. And I'll get more detail later on. But everything that I can say is that it was very emotional. It was a very difficult thing. Your mind wants to play tricks on you. Your mind wants to just lead you to another extreme, opposite of what God says, opposite of what his word
Yeah.
says. And so there's a battle that is going on, not only emotionally, physically, but mentally as well.
And I mean, being away, I think for me, I applaud you because the first thing I feel like the one thing for sure that we have in common, we both went to God first. It was like, okay, I'm going through this, but bringing God into the situation, into the equation, he's already there, right?
Yes.
But bringing him, like knowingly bringing him into the equation,
Right.
I feel it changes the dynamic of
Amen.
your whole journey.
Yes.
And people look at me crazy, like, I speak to other women outside of these lives and I try to help them through their journeys.
Yes.
And I go in and I'm telling people, like, hey, you need to invite the Lord into your
Yes.
situation. You need
Yes.
to make sure that that's the first thing that you do, because it changes the whole trajectory of what you're about to go
I
through. Because
agree.
a lot of times, if we're so focused on the what ifs, like Caleb just said, she said, yes, the what ifs, but God, like
Yes.
we get caught up in that what if, what if, what if. And I had a young lady that I met the other night, and she was like, I was beating myself up saying that I did this to myself and this, that, and the other. I said, but maybe God is allowing this. Have you ever thought about it that way? Maybe he's allowing this for a greater purpose. Maybe
Amen.
you've forgotten who you are. Maybe you need to focus more on self, or maybe he just wants you to sit down somewhere because you're doing too much. We
Right.
can't, we don't know what God is thinking, but when we bring him into the equation early, it changes everything. So
I
I applaud you for that, for sticking to it and saying, God, just give me provision. And like you said, it's not limited to finances, because people always think, oh, I want everything, but mainly the financials. No, it's not the financial. It's the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, the strength to endure and to
yes.
persevere and to gain that resilience. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Oh,
And that's literally, the biggest part of the journey is
right.
recognizing that God is allowing it for a reason. So with you doing that and your family being here, like, how was that telling your family when you were so far away? What was that experience like?
Well, when I live in Poland, I am 7 hours ahead of you here as we are now. So it's a 7 hour difference. My mom, it was going to be a hard thing to tell my mom, but anytime any hard news like that, any type of hard news, I've always either myself needs to be present or my sister, just to help her through it, right? Through the emotional part of that. So what I did is I called my sister first. I called my little sister. She works in the medical field, so I talked to her first. She was on the way to work. She said, "You know what? Let me call my job. I'm gonna call in. I'm gonna tell them I can't make it. I said, yeah, because I really need you to be with mom. I cannot tell mom by herself because I don't know how mom would react. Because that would be hard. A mother hearing their daughter say they have cancer, and I'm not saying it in person.
Yeah.
And so my sister actually called into work, made a U-turn, came home, and then I shared it with my mom, which was very devastating news for my mom, right? And as hard as it was for her, like I mentioned earlier, I knew that everything has a purpose for a reason. God doesn't, it's not a coincidence. God doesn't, it's an accident, or God, or it's not something that he's punishing us. There's a purpose for him to allow us to go through that, because God doesn't give us more than what we can handle. And even when we go through this, he also gives us the answer out of this, and he is the answer, right? So I told my mom, as she was crying and broken because of the news that I had just shared with her. I told my mom, I said, Mom, I don't need my weeping, depressed mom right now. I need the intercessor that's in you, that prayer warrior that you are. I said, that's the mom that I need right now. And I don't want nobody speaking death over my life. I refuse that. I rebuke that. I said, but I need you to stand right now and just pray, not be depressed, but intercede for me. That's the person that I need right now. And it was really hard. My mom didn't take it well. Even in the whole transition where she's like, I'm going to go to Poland, I'm going to be with you. And I told her no. Now imagine her hearing me say, no, I don't want you to be here. Not because I didn't want her to. It's just I didn't know what I was about to go to. I had to deal with my own emotions and feelings, and I couldn't handle barely mine and then handle hers. Plus, she's coming to a foreign nation that she doesn't know how to transport in. She doesn't know the language. She's not used to the cold. She doesn't know how to get around. So, in all honesty, the benefits would not be great. It would be more beneficial that you would stay here and intercede and pray for me, because the Bible says in James that the prayer of a righteous man is powerful and availeth much, right? Powerful and effective. And so I have an aunt in Port Lavaca and an uncle that are pastors. I had to reach out to my aunt because my mom couldn't understand why I didn't want her to come. And I asked my aunt, please tell my mom this is why. I explained to my aunt, and my aunt says, I understand. And she took care of that part. And she talked to my mom. She gave her an understanding. And my mom now had peace to be able to stay here while I was abroad dealing with that.
That is, I can't imagine how hard that was, to even telling your mom, like, hey, I need you to just stay there and pray. Because my whole thing, look, me, I'm like, I want my mama. But then at the same time, it's like, I think now coming out of the journey, I realize kind of what you're saying, that certain things you don't really need in that moment. And you want people to support you and to be positive and to pray for the turnaround, because God turns things
Yes.
around, and you want them to pray for the turnaround and the season to be better.
Right.
But when they're around you, sometimes it can cause more stress. And I think a lot of ladies that I have met, and even myself, we try to carry the emotions of everyone around us, where that's a hindrance to our healing. Like, that's just being honest, right? Because we
Right.
want these particular people around us, but
Yeah.
not realizing, like, pray for me, but stay over there. Because if you're going to come around me, and that's why I have to respect, I used to feel bad when people would remove themselves throughout the journey, but then I started looking at it from a different angle.
Right.
Like, I didn't want anybody around me who was going to be crying and, trying to make it seem like I got 48 hours to live. I
Right.
don't want that.
Right.
I had to really think about, some people are not emotionally or mentally capable of seeing you in this particular way or supporting you through this particular journey, and that is okay.
Yes.
But that prayer, it
Right.
changes things.
Amen.
And just having people pray for you,
Yes.
that's so. What was it like? Like, I know that you were in a whole other country, and now you told your mom, like, I need you to stay back and just pray for me. And what was your treatment plan?
So, being in Poland, things are a little bit different, right? They don't have as advanced technology as we do in America. So, God gave me favor with the oncologist of the hospital. Mind you, this is a hospital that was barely being built. Half of the hospital was built, half of it wasn't. By the grace of God, the area of cancer that I needed was already built. Praise God. So, the oncologist, got together with all the oncologists and made a plan for me. Now, mind you, the insurance, when I switched, they refused to pay my cancer treatments because they considered it, it was an existing disease. And so it was before insurance, and they wouldn't cover it. As much as I went back and forth with them in Poland, they would not cover my treatment. So I had to reach out to my family and say, I need help. I need finances. I need to be able to get my treatments. I'm not coming to America. So my family began to do fundraising here in Texas. Um, my mom's side of the family, even my dad's side of the family, just to see miracles out of that in itself. I knew that God was working, and I knew that God was in control, because my dad's family is so divided. But in that moment, in that season of my life, they put their differences aside, came together, and did a fundraiser for me. And that is God, right? Only
Nothing but
God can do that. That's nothing but God. And so, and you could just see God from the beginning of this, right? And so the doctors, I finally had a budget. And so, I mean, there is testimonies. I can go on forever about the testimonies of just seeing God. Money was just coming into the fundraisers. People were dropping off money, and they're like, wait, where did all this money come from? Like, I don't understand that. But God, right?
yeah.
And so when I had a budget, I told them, this is what I have to work with right now. And they said, oh, okay, no problem. So my plan that they put into effect was accommodating my budget. So that meant that the chemo that I needed was going to be stronger, but less chemo instead of light chemo and so I had stronger chemo, but I had 3 sessions of chemo, but I was in the hospital for those 3 times.
Oh,
And then I had 24 sessions of radiation therapy. And then I had two, in Polish, it's called brachytherapia, means like Brock therapy, which is 2 internal radiation therapies. So all those therapies, staying in the hospital, pre-meds, post-meds, I literally paid only $8,000 to cover.
wait, hold on. For all of that,
Yes, for all of
and
it.
here in the States, I just want to be, let's be clear. Let's be clear. And I'm just putting this out there for those of you who don't know. I'm pretty sure you probably heard. Here in the States, I looked at, they give me, chemo brain is present. Y'all work with me. But they gave me like a printout of all of the expenses since going through the journey. Like they give you that. Y'all know what it's called. It's the medical explanation of benefits, I believe. Um, one round of chemo is like paying a house or buying a car.
Wow.
And she went through all of this, like 3 strong rounds of chemo, radiation, and everything for $8,000.
Yes.
But we're more advanced here, and that's the crazy. Now that's the crazy part for me. And I'm not trying to get on healthcare. I'm not trying to go down that road, but it should open your mind up to some things.
That's true.
Because if they're not so advanced, but they can afford to allow you to go through all of that treatment and not gain so much money, what's the excuse here in the States?
Come on.
Ponder on that for a moment.
Hmm.
If, because this is something that I have to work with other ladies with as well, because a lot of people go through and we lose jobs, we lose all of the resources that we have, and then you have to be basically broke in order to get Medicaid or any kind of Medicaid benefits. Now, Medicaid, before getting on Medicaid, breast and cervical Medicaid, I had a shot administered, and it was a $10,000 shot. They gave me a
Wow.
shot and was like, "Hey, your insurance is lapsed, so you're not insured." So guess who got collection agents calling for $10,000? But when I got on breast and cervical Medicaid, and this is the ironic part, this is the part that don't make sense. So when I got on breast and cervical Medicaid, and at first I thought it was more, but I looked at the receipt again the other day, and it was like they charge breast and cervical Medicaid like $300 for the same exact shot, but charge me $10,000.
Yeah.
So I feel like your decision when you ask God to order your steps and to show you what to do, and He lets you know that you will be fine staying there. that was not only a uh, a blessing because you were already there, but it was the reality that if you were to go back to the States, you would probably be in debt behind your diagnosis. I'm just going to be honest with you. So
That's
I
true.
feel like God definitely intervened in that and gave you that you're going to be fine right where you are. And He showed you that through the steps and the things, because I don't want to tell people everything, but through the way that He walked through your journey. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I feel like He was definitely present in telling you, like, hey, stay here
Right.
and have your treatments because
Right.
it's ridiculous. I'm thankful that you were able to bypass the financial hardship side of things because it's ghetto on the outside. Girl, it's ratchet on this side of the field. But so what was it like? Now you were in Poland and there were no family, no friends, no, like, what was that like? Were there people like that showed up for you? Did you have people that you worked with that came and showed up for you? Like, how did that work?
So, I'm going to start it off by saying this: God is faithful. God is so faithful. No matter what it looks like, God is faithful. And I'm going to tell you why. Being in Poland, when I first had surgery at that first hospital, that's like saying Parkland here in Dallas, right?
Mhm.
In that county hospital. I was in a room with like 8 women. It wasn't just like you have one room to yourself. It was like 8 women, no TVs. The hospital there, you had to bring your own water, you had to bring your own shampoos, you had to bring your own stuff. When I was in the cancer hospital, it was a little bit nicer. I had like 3 people in there, so it was 3 of us total, and we shared the restroom and everything. But also there, you had to bring your own water. You had to bring sometimes your own toilet paper because whatever was there, if it ran out, that's it. You cover your own expense. So it was nothing like America. We complain so much about the food in the hospitals in America. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Compared to what I had in Poland, this is top of the line food. And believe it or not, like sometimes for breakfast, I would have a little egg with a wannabe croissant. It was no croissant, and a big old chunk of butter and a hot tea. That was my breakfast. That's it. It was nothing fancy Nancy. For dinner, sometimes it was a little soup and a hot tea. That's it. Nothing fancy. And we complain about American food, and I'm like, man, we're luxurious over here because we didn't have that on the other side of the world. But
Yeah.
but what's amazing to me is that um, God's provision was so amazing because see the people that I was leading, I was a youth leader at the local church, but I also started a singles ministry. And so um, I am so thankful for the Lord because I met people from all different nations, right? And during my journey, um, I had people that I was leading that would come and take care of me. I had a girl from Taiwan who is now a dentist in her country, and a friend of mine from here, the United States, that was playing professional basketball in Poland. They would come to the hospital and sit with me throughout my whole chemo session. um, the pastor's wife, she would come drop me off. She'll come check on me during my stay, and then she would pick me up Friday, and then take me home, put a pot of a soup to cook, even though I mean I couldn't eat it, but anyhow, y'all know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, cancer, the chemo and all that. Um, and then that Saturday, my 2 friends from Taiwan, one the dentist and the other one is a doctor now in her country, they would come and sit with me from 9 in the morning to 9 o'clock at night because that's when I felt all the effects of chemo. And they would take care of me. They would help me walk to the restroom. They would give me my medicines. I mean, I was in pain like bad. Everything hurt. My jaws, my shoulders, my joints, everything hurt. And I had no desire for nothing. I was just sick. That's all. That's it. I didn't have my taste buds changed. The water tasted nasty. So they would get lemons and they would get all these things. They would bring bandages and took care of me for my surgery. Because mind you, I still have surgery when I started chemo, January of 2016. So they would bring stuff. Friends from Ukraine, friends from Poland, my friends from Taiwan. They would come. My friend, he was interning at the hospital where I had surgery, and he would come and check my charts, make sure I was okay. Call me if you need something. When I needed a brush or I needed shampoo, I would call them, and they would come right by. Is go to the store, come back, and bring me my stuff. And I'm like, poof, I was blown away by these people' generosity. I was blown away on how God would bring such people to my life for such time as then that I didn't have family. They became my family. My family in Poland were made up of Polish people, Ukrainians, Taiwanese, Uzbekistan, and an American. They became my family. They would come and clean my apartment. They would come throw out my trash. They would bring me groceries. And mind you, not one time would they take any money from me. It's so amazing just to have people that God brings. That's God's provision, y'all. It's not only finances,
Yeah.
it's people that I needed. I needed a family at that time, and I had an international family that are so dear to me now. I When I think of all that they have done and how they were there for me and how they took care of me, tell me there is no God? Come on now. They are amazing people, have a special place in my heart. I had a family, y'all, even though it was not my blood, because remember, blood is not always family. There's people that are not blood that are family. But by God's grace, He brought those perfect people into my life for such time as then to take care of me, to provide for me, to sit with me, to pray for me, to love on me, to care for me, and not one time complain, not one time take money, not one time looking out for their own interests or just to be seen. Oh, I did this. Not one. Very humble people, and I that was one of the most amazing things. That just those people, man, they have a special place in my heart.
Oh yeah. And see, when you bring God into the beginning, like people
Yeah.
just don't understand. Like when you bring
Right.
him in the beginning and
Yeah.
you make your request known, like
Yes.
Lord, I'm afraid. Lord, I need support. I need your strength. I need your provision. And then
Yes.
things around you start happening and it's like mind blowing.
Yes.
Completely mind blowing.
Yes.
And it's something about it. Like when you meet people, you can tell that they are sent by him because of how they act,
Yes.
because of how they are, how they treat you. And it's a completely different feeling. Like you said, some family isn't really family. It's just
Right.
people that you were born with the same DNA.
Right.
And you meet strangers, and some strangers treat you better than the people that you share blood and DNA with. I
Yes.
mean, that's just the reality. And to be away from the United States, away from everybody, and for God to send you all of the things that you needed, that
Yes.
you needed when you needed it.
Mhm.
Like that alone is a testimony within
Yeah.
itself. The financials, like you said, a lot of people look at it as just being financial when
Right.
you're praying for provisions. And it's not. It's support. It's all the way around.
Right.
Are you still in contact with uh are you still in contact with all of the people in Poland?
I'm still in contact with them. Yes. Some of the people that help take care of me are now in their country, like Taiwan. But I've written with them. One of them, the young lady that was is now a dentist. She ended up getting married, and so that's an amazing thing. Um, so yeah, I've had contact with them, and I they've invited me to their country. They would like for me to come visit. So I pray that one day I will go visit.
That's awesome. That is
Yes.
amazing. So where
Yes.
are you now? Like where so I know in 2015, like where are you now when it comes down to like treatment? When you came back to the United States, were you done with everything and you were just able to pick up and move forward with life, or did you have to be seen by a doctor here? Like how did that transition go for you?
So, being on the mission field, after I finished my treatments, I was really tired of being sick. 6 months straight, just straight on treatments. There was a season in that. There's a moment in that time in that season that I wanted to quit my treatments because I was so tired of feeling sick. I was so tired of the way I felt. No desire of anything. It's just sick, and in pain, and you're dealing with the emotional, you're dealing with the mental, you're dealing with the spiritual, you're dealing with the physical, and so it takes so much from you, right? But God, right? When I say God give me the strength, God literally gave me the strength. The Bible says that when you are weak, He is made strong in you. And you're so right to say that we can't do it without God. We cannot do it out of our own strength, because the Bible does say when we're weak, He is made strong in us. And it is His strength that helped me endure and get through it. And as soon as my treatment was over, I got approvals from my doctor to travel to Russia, and I stayed in Russia for almost a month. I stayed there with my best friend, and it was just a relief, a change of atmosphere. I had to be careful, of course, because my immune system, right, was compromised. But I had a great time. I came back to Poland. I just felt like so different, like really different. Losing my hair was my biggest challenge, because it was hard for me to look in the mirror. It was hard for me to show my mom. I had to deal with that. It's not my hair that gives me my identity. It's God that gives me my identity. And it shook me to my core. Not everybody can handle losing hair. Not everybody can handle not having hair. My sister's like, I can't do that. I cut my hair, shave it off sometimes, because I'm just so used to it now. And my sister's like, I can't do it. Not everybody can, right? But losing my hair was one of the hardest things in that transition. And if I didn't have someone by my side to encourage me, to speak life to me, and to keep praying for me, and to cheer me on and motivate me, and help me to see that I could do it, I don't know where I would be today, because I know that God provided people exactly for that time, and exactly who I needed, and exactly with the right character, even when I wanted to be stubborn, but that would challenge me to move forward. No, you're not giving up, you're not quitting. And I still went on, coming back to Poland after Russia. Then I came to the United States for a month and went back. So while I went back. Yeah, so I was traveling even
Girl,
after that. you
listen,
know
all I'm hearing in my mind is when I was on chemo, it wasn't none of that traveling. It was none. It took, and even now, like the fatigue and
Mhm.
all of the treatments, the brain fog, the all of the
Yes.
things, like, and you're traveling like it's nothing.
A lot of people would tell me, man, you don't even look like you just went through all that. I said, but God, that's the grace of God. That's what
Yeah,
God does. And
yeah.
only God. And He deserves all the glory, and He deserves all the honor. It is not mine, it's His, and it's Him. It's all about Him. I even had an encounter on the airplane when I was going to get off in Russia, because my passport picture was one. My visa picture was something totally different. Lost my hair. I was a lot thinner, and they didn't believe that it was me. And I had to share my story that I had cancer, da da da, for them to let me go. Now, when I returned from the United States back to Poland, mind you, I'm in a country that we walk everywhere. 3 hours of walking in a forest was nothing to me. Walking up 5 flights of stairs often throughout the day, back and forth, it's a lot of physical work. It was no problem. It was normal. That's how we live in the other side of the world, right? Yeah, people have vehicles, but you use more public transportation, or you walk everywhere. Um, I noticed a change around 2000, and I want to say late 2016, early 2017. I started to notice a change in me. I started all of a sudden having all kinds of Charlie horses in my body, and I didn't have that before. And, and I said, okay, something's wrong. What I could normally do, I can't do right now. And it was really tough, because I'm like, hold on, what's happening? And I didn't tell many people there. I only told one spiritual daughter that I have because she couldn't understand why I didn't want to walk. But it's because I had been struggling a lot with, the Charlie horses
Yeah.
everywhere. So I had to share with her, and she was like, wow. And so when I experienced that, I decided to, because I didn't know what was going on, I decided to come back to America and come to be able to see doctors here so they can tell me what's going on. And
Yeah.
so when I came back to America in 2017, probably April, May, somewhere in that time, I came back to America. I did start to see doctors because I didn't understand what was happening, which I now know is that there were side effects of chemo that were now starting to kick in, even though they didn't kick in right away. My doctor said it could be up to 5 years before it kicks in, and so then they started to kick in, and that's where my life changed. That's where it's changed. So that's what brought me back.
And we didn't get off into this when we talked before, but it's definitely an eye-opening thing for a lot of people. Um, and just so a lot of you know, like what she's experiencing, a lot of us are experiencing. So if you hear someone say like going through the journey was easier than coming out of the journey, this is what some people are talking about. Like some of the lasting side effects from going through chemo, the traumatic experiences from the surgeries, the radiation, your body is now trying to deal with the trauma that you've gone through.
Right.
And a lot of times it's not just physically, it can be mentally, it can be emotionally, it can show up in forms of anxiety, depression, PTSD,
Right.
like
Right.
all of the things. And it's not you, right? Like it's not you. It's not that you're not capable.
Yeah.
It's not that you're not trying.
Come on.
It's not that you are lazy. It's the reality that a lot of people don't tell you, like doctors don't tell you,
Right.
like once you get done, it may be a little more challenging because now your body's going to go into, okay, now I'm not in fight or flight, but I'm coasting, but now I'm able to deal with all of the things that I've been through. So
Yes.
bam, here go all the side effects.
Yes.
Here goes the mental instability now that you're
Yes.
able to sit down and sit still and not go to all of these million doctor's appointments and have all of the scans.
Right.
Now
Right.
your mind is playing with you. They're not checking me. They're not doing this. It's not you. It's
Right.
all of the things that you've been through. It's your body's reaction and response to the trauma that you've
So
endured. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I'm so glad that you brought that out there and made it known. Like for you, it was a few years later
mm-hmm.
where your body started to do all of these
Right.
things. And I'm pretty sure you're probably like a lot of us, like you don't complain about it. You just go. Like you said, you only told one person. And what
Right.
you telling that one person is, and I'm not saying that this is what it is, but for me, I'll tell somebody like what life is really like for me in the mental, the emotional, the physical, and why I try to go for walks and why I try to go force myself to the gym and why my body is hurting. But I can't tell everybody that because some people will make you feel like, oh, you just
Right.
don't want to. I promise you, I
Yeah.
just had this conversation with somebody earlier, and I was like, I don't talk to people about what I'm going through unless they really understand. I've learned to read
Right.
the room and know the audience because unless you fully understand,
Come
it's
on.
more like people judge you and say, "Well, why you can't walk them 4 miles? You used to walk them 4 miles. That ain't nothing." Well,
Yep.
tell that to my body after chemo, after
Thank
radiation
you.
and surgeries. You know
So
what I'm
real.
saying? People don't
Yes.
understand that. Like jumping back into a stressful situation, like that's crippling. I
Yeah.
had a situation happen where it's a particular opportunity, but the opportunity has to be like where you're on call 24 hours. My job, the level of structure that is needed in this season. And when I say structure, like it gotta make sense. If it don't make sense, then it's not gonna work.
Right.
But I recognize like the amount of sleep that I actually need because I deal with insomnia. Do you deal with insomnia?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because we don't realize the effects really that it's had on our body. Like you're absolutely correct. The doctors don't tell
No.
you the after effects, right? They don't tell you that years later you it could surface, right? And that's what happened to me. I went from being able to walk 3 hours in a forest like nothing, a lot thinner than what I am now, right? To where I could barely walk right now in just a little distance. And it's like, oh, your lymphatic system is probably damaged, da da da, all these things, right? All these the I need to make sure that I stay hydrated enough. I need to make sure that I'm taking vitamins because according to what I've been told is it's I can't observe the nutrients, the vitamins like I used to, and all these things, and I spasm sometimes my body within get Charlie horses sometimes multiple places, and you're like, what in the world is happening to me,
Yeah.
right? And that's my state because they didn't tell me these things, and you're so absolutely correct. And man, everything you're saying is so on point, and I'm so glad that you're able to say that because yes, people will think that you're lazy. People will think, oh, it's just because she's heavy and she just don't want to do those things. No, you don't realize what I feel. And
Yeah.
people like you and myself, we understand each other perfectly well.
Yeah.
And the whole chemo man, I would tell my friend, it's like I can't remember certain stuff. It's like I don't know what's wrong with my mind, like and here I am finding it out. Whoa, it's this happens and
Mhm.
this is normal, and I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Of course I have a fight in me to where I'm not going to stay like this, and I'm just going to keep moving forward. But there are limitations, there are
Yeah.
challenges. To hear that you're not able to do the same thing as you used to before, that devastates you, that wants to depress you, that wants to sometimes people will try to make you feel like you're disabled, and this, and I don't want to feel like that. I told the devil from the beginning, you might want to limit me, that's fine, but you're not going to stop me. And
That
this
part.
ain't going to stop me. This is
That
not
part.
going to stop me. God has a purpose for my life. And no matter what adverse effects this all wants to have, God has the last say so. And when He heals completely. And I stand on His word that even with the side effects and the things that I've dealt with, I know God is in control. God will continue to heal me. And you know what? It has been God to help me through those moments that I want to be depressed, those moments that I just want to give up, those moments that I get frustrated because I can't do what I want to. My mind is like, I want to do like normal, but my body is not even there.
Nope.
And that's tough.
That is really tough. That is a lot of
Tough.
my closet cries right there.
Yeah.
Because the old me, like losing my job, it would have been like, oh, bounce back and just
Right.
get back out there and do it. But
Yeah.
now it's like I'm overwhelmed,
Yeah.
dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression, my body like fatigue. Even with the job that I had before, it was like getting up at 4 in the morning and literally laying down at nighttime. I would be exhausted, but I couldn't go to sleep. And I'm like, Lord, please take this anxiety. Please
Yeah.
take the insomnia. Please allow me to get. So I find
Yeah.
myself like you said, I may be limited, but you're not gonna stop me. So I
Mm-mm.
kept moving forward and I keep
Yeah.
doing things to help the situation and being intentional and purposeful with how I move.
Yes.
But that don't mean that it's not it's like I said, my whole thing is just because somebody carries it well don't mean it's not heavy.
Come
You
on.
never know what a
Right.
person is going through if you ain't walked in the shoes. And I promise you, this is a conversation that I had with somebody earlier today. And it was basically about me. And I was like, I just don't talk to people because there are certain people that judge instead of trying to understand where you are.
Right.
And if you constantly deal with those type of people, you constantly feel like you have to explain, like you don't understand how tired I am. I don't complain. I go out here, I fix my hair up, I look cute, I wear the cute outfits, I do whatever I need to do to make me feel better. But the reality is on the inside, baby girl is screaming like, Lord Jesus, can I please have my breakthrough?
Right.
Can I please have that moment of calm and peace? And then I just ask God for the resilience. I ask him for the strength. And everybody's like, you're so resilient. You're so this, that, and the other because God had already told me, like, it's a purpose behind the pain. So you got to keep moving forward. And that's where a lot of people get stuck because they haven't come to God and they haven't heard these particular conversations where they know like what we're going through is normal. You know what I'm saying? Like the fatigue, the body aches and pains. We didn't have the same type of chemotherapy. We didn't go through the same radiation process. We weren't even in the same states when all of this stuff is happening. But there is a connection somewhere because for both of us to sit here and honestly say, at the end of the day, I am not the person that I used to be, and I feel like a shell of the individual that I was. But God, I thank Him for keeping me. But this is the reality, right? And for us to be able to say that, I pray that someone who is watching this knows and really feels supported and know that, no, you're not crazy. The brain fog, the body aches and pains, whether you're in it or out of it at this point, like, it's the part of the process.
Yes.
And just making sure that you keep God in front of that process. Like, listen, trusting God and having faith, a lot of people feel like it's easy. It ain't easy, okay? Having faith ain't for the weak. Trusting God ain't for the weak because sometimes you be like, Lord, if you're listening, you would have fixed this thing a long time ago.
Right.
Like, I was asking for it back there, you would have fixed it. But here we are, 15, 20 feet ahead, and I'm still in this place. But I trust you.
Yep.
Like, you got to stand 10 toes down and know, Lord, it ain't in my time, it is in yours. But giving yourself grace while you go through what you're growing through.
Yes.
See, those are my words to help me navigate through. Like, I done been through a lot, but I'm growing through everything that I go through. Like, if you ain't growing through it, you gonna keep going through it. No, we gotta learn the lesson so that we can be done with this particular chapter.
Right.
And
right. That's so
it's just the reality.
It is the reality. One of the things that I don't know if you know who Pastor Rod Parsley is. He said this quote: "The atmosphere of expectancy is the breeding ground for miracles," and that is powerful because if I have so much I can say, and I'm trying to be very mindful of time. And here's the thing.
Look,
I've
you
seen.
good. Look, it needs
Look,
to be heard. Put it out there.
here's the thing that I see in the Church of America. And I can say that because I'm a missionary in the other side of the world. I have seen the other side of the world. I have seen the faith in the other side of the world. I have seen what God could do. I've seen God use me to lay hands on somebody and they were healed. I've seen that. So here's the deal. The atmosphere of expectancy. The problem is here in America, we don't expect healing. We don't expect, we're so accustomed to a religious routine of, let me lay hands on you and pray for you, and let me pray, da-da-da, and that's it. Okay. But where's the expectancy? I don't want to leave there till I'm healed. If you notice in the Bible, when Jesus healed, it wasn't, okay, I'm just going to lay hands and you're going to go and later on you're going to be healed. Healing was instant.
Yeah.
But if you notice, it was the faith that made the difference, right? And so faith is so powerful and it's so important. What happens is that we get so used to knowing of God, knowledge, head knowledge, but not having the revelation of God and who he truly is of his word. Because when you have to walk by faith, that's Hebrews 11:1 says that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. A lot of times we need to see it to believe it, but that's not faith. Faith is the unseen, what we don't see. When I had to deal with this was the moment in my life where my faith was tested. This is the moment where I told God, Crystal, I told God, if your word doesn't work for me now, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. But see, here's the thing about that. God could do, but what are we going to do? The Bible says that faith without works is dead. So where was my works going to be? See? So here's the thing. I had to position myself in a place where I had the faith of the size of a mustard seed. And that's the difficult faith. Because even when your body says different, your mind says different, The doctors say different. You have to remain in faith without a shadow of doubt, because
Mhm.
it's that type of faith that will connect you into the spiritual realm and bring that healing miracle manifested into your life. And we see the healing power of Jesus in our life. It's the faith that doesn't waver. It's the faith that moves mountains. Now, here, let me tell you this. It's not a human faith, it's a godly faith. There's a difference. There is a big difference when I can say I have faith to that I'm gonna pass this grades, that I'm gonna do it. But it's a whole different faith when it talks biblical, because you're talking about just going into a whole nother dimension and pulling that miracle into the reality of now into your circumstance. The faith that that can only grow by the hearing the word of God, that can only grow in certain ways. And so it's the faith that it's so important. That I heard Dr. Lester Summerall say, feed your faith and starve your doubts to death.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's even
Faith
by
is so
speaking it
powerful.
into existence.
Yes.
And that's, people don't understand there's so much power in the words that you speak. And I
Right.
had to learn that for myself, like
Yeah.
speaking healing over yourself,
Yeah.
speaking it into existence. That is showing God, like, oh, you already trusting, you already
Yes.
believing, you have that faith of a mustard seed that
Right.
it's going to be okay.
You know, it's two things that when I was fighting cancer is I needed to make sure I had the best medical plan, number one, right? But we also have to understand that there's a spiritual a realm, that there's a spiritual aspect to it as well. And one of the things that I thank God for his grace. I thank God for his mercy. I thank God for his presence. You know, I'm so happy and pleased with the medical treatment, with the doctors. They did everything. They were so kind. They took care of me so well. Literally, I was the only American in the hospital, and everybody in the hospital knew that there was an American, that everybody was trying to see who the American was. I had these little ladies coming by and looking and peeking in the door, and they didn't speak no English. They only spoke hi in English. And they're super excited to say hi, you know. It's so funny, right? And I had, you know, I'm content and I'm pleased with the treatment, how they did, but I am even more and greater so convinced that it was my faith in God and the prayers of the saints that determined the outcome, that I am healed. I
Yep.
am in remission. There is no trace of cancer in my life. But again, we have to have the faith that moves mountains, the faith of the mustard seed, but we also have to put the works. A lot of people in Poland expected me to take a whole year off and don't do nothing, and I didn't do that. I would spend a whole week after chemo sick. The next week I would get up and go preach to the youth.
Yeah.
I even went to the church and sang "To Worship You I Live" in 4 different languages. And it's like, I am not going to stop the calling. If the enemy thinks he's going to stop me, he cannot stop me. No matter what I'm going through, no matter what I was facing, it was God and his word that got me through it. There's a book that Rod Parsley wrote. It's called Be Made Whole. Pastor Rod Parsley had throat cancer, and in his journey he wrote a diary, and he began to do a study on healing, and he dug deep into the word, and he wrote a book called Be Made Whole. And I my sister bought me the book, sent it to Poland for me, and every single day I read that book, full of scripture, full of healing teaching, and prayers
Mhm.
to speak over your life. My days were saturated with the word of God. It's not and some people say, oh, that's being religious. It's not a religious, exercise to make me feel like more spiritual, right?
Mhm.
It was a means by which I allowed God's medicine. That's what we don't understand, that God's word is a medicine to infuse our spirit, mind, and body, right? And so the word of God, confessing the word of God, there's healing in those pages. Isaiah 53:5 says that by his stripes we were healed. That's a promise. That's already been done. Healing is already ours, but we just got to grab a hold of it. Now, it's difficult when we're going through the emotions, when we're going through the mental challenges, when we go into the physical challenges, and we're in pain and we're struggling. But one of the most powerful weapons that we can have is worship, because worship, man, it just does something that you couldn't imagine. I had a pastor that always taught us, when in the matter no matter what you're going through, worship the Lord.
Yeah.
Lift up your hands to worship. Lift up your praise. Because when you do that, He will descend in the form that you need Him at that very moment. I
Okay.
needed healing. My body, everything hurt, but I still was able to lift up my hands and worship God. See,
Mhm.
what we have to understand is that we cannot fall into a place of where we feel sorry for ourselves. You
Mhm.
know, we gotta switch the mind. See, the order that God has created is a spirit, soul, and body. All has to be in order. Our spirit has to be stronger than our soul and our body, because it is our spirit. Because God is a spirit, we're the spiritual being. Is what's going to help us through those moments where we don't see the healing, where we don't see what's going to come, right? But it's that faith that's going to get us through, right? But if our emotions are stronger, our body is stronger, and our spirit is weak, it's why we become pity party. It's how we become negative in ourselves. And it's the relationship of Jesus Christ. I'm not talking about a religious routine of just go to church. I'm talking about have a relationship with Jesus. The Bible says, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. When
Mhm.
you put God first in everything, and your relationship first in everything, and you spend that time with Him, and you grow in Him, and you begin to familiar with what His nature is: healing. His nature, He is love, He is healing, He is powerful, He is amazing, He is comforter, He is, and so on. I can go on and on and on, right? You look at the names of Jesus. He is Rapha, healer. He is Jireh,
Yeah.
provider. He is Shalom, our peace. If we begin to cry out to that God that we serve, because we know Him, it's been revealed to us, His power, His strength, the healing of Jesus comes and does something totally different to where we can endure, we can continue forward no matter the challenges that come. The enemy won't have that over us, because God is with us. He's with us no matter what. No matter what we're going through, He is there with us. And so I just want to encourage the ladies today, and anybody that's watching that's going through this. Your number one is God.
Yeah.
There is nothing impossible for God. And even if you might feel, oh, but He's never answered my prayer, He's never done this, He's never done that, we have to understand that God doesn't run in our timing, and God doesn't do what we tell Him to do. It's all in
Yeah.
God's timing, and it's according to what His will and purpose. See, He didn't put us here so that uh we can get our wants, and He has to fill a demand like a little genie. No, He put us
Mhm.
here so that we can worship Him, and that we can know that He's there for us. He provides for us. He has healing for us.
Mhm.
And so I just encourage anyone that's here, if you want to reach out and you want to talk and you need more encouragement, you want to learn more, I'm open to it as well. Talk to Crystal. She can reach out to me. But I just want to encourage you that there's nothing impossible for God. No matter what you're going through, God is right there. You just got to cry out to Him. You just got to surrender to Him. You just got to let Him know how He feels. I'm guarantee you, I'm telling you from experience, that He will come in. He will comfort you. He will strengthen you. He will love on you. He will give you favor. He'll provide for you, and He will heal you. But you
Yeah.
gotta believe. You gotta have faith, and faith and believe, it goes together. You cannot have unbelief. You cannot doubt. You cannot have all the negativity. And surround yourself with people that are gonna pray for you. People that are gonna encourage you. People that are gonna speak life to you. Don't be around people that are gonna speak death to you. Oh, you're gonna die. All this and that. No, the devil is a liar. God came to give you life, and life in abundance. So I just want to encourage you. Don't give up. Don't quit. If you feel hopeless, Jesus is the
Yeah.
answer. He's your hope, and He was my hope, and He's my healer, and He could be your healer as well. Hmm.
Yeah. That
My
is
God.
amazing. I think you answered all of the questions, girl. Like, I mean, because everything that you said, it definitely resonates with this journey and the things that we go through. Like I tell people, I feel that it's okay to feel your human emotion.
Right.
Because a lot of times, the only way for us to process and deal, we gotta feel it. You
Yeah.
can't keep on holding on to it, and you can't feel bad about it. If you look at the book of Job, and this is one for me, listen,
Come on.
if you go through the book of Job, and like me and my husband, I think it's like Job chapter 10, I was like, oh, he hot. Job is over it. He
Yeah.
like, listen, y'all keep trying to say that I did something to be in this position, and God is just really putting me through this because he just like, nah, Job he my rider. He ain't gonna switch up. And he had to make it known, like, I am blameless.
Right.
So don't feel like you're being punished. You're not perfect. We're
That's
not
right.
perfect. We
Mm.
all do things, but at the same time, we got to remember. And if you don't remember, go through the book of Job.
Yes.
See all of the losses, but all of the wins. And it's not about the wins, it's about the lessons. Those losses became lessons. Those situations that Job went through, it was just to
Yes.
grow him even more in the spirit, in persevering, becoming resilient, and really just standing 10 toes down for
Yeah.
God.
That's true.
Because he was mad. Listen, don't get upset at yourself for feeling your human emotions.
That's
Even when
right.
Jesus was here, he wept. You see what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yep.
He felt those emotions.
Yep.
Feel your human emotions. Don't get around people that will not allow you to feel your
Right.
emotions, but
Right.
don't get stuck in them either.
That's right.
You have to talk to God, and you have to know, Lord, I know that you're working this thing out on my behalf. I don't see it right now. And I'm speaking to myself in my own situation.
Yes.
And I tell God all the time, like, Lord, I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
This is different.
Right.
I look, I trust you, but this is different. Jesus, what we doing? Can I get a light?
Yeah.
And then can I see the tunnel? But then
Yep.
he's like, it ain't time
Right.
yet. You still learning. You're
Yeah.
still processing. You're still going through. But the work, like Anna said, the work. At the end of the day, regardless of what we going through, we still gotta show up and do the work. Whatever that is that God told you to do. Just like he told me to show up here on Thursdays. Get
Mm-hmm.
on here and help somebody. Get on here and find these stories so that
Right.
people will know that I am a healer, that
Yes.
I am a provider, that I
Yes.
am someone
Yes.
who is going to bring you out of a tough season. This is the assignment. This
Right.
is what you are supposed to be doing. I am being obedient. And let me tell y'all something, even in obedience, sometimes it's not easy.
Right.
Some days it ain't
Whew.
easy to be obedient, and that is okay. Feel
Right.
them emotions, feel them, but show up. I don't
Right.
want to end too quick before giving the opportunity. If anyone would like to join and add to the conversation, say anything to Anna, say anything to me, this is the time for you to let it be known so that we can bring you on, whether it's words of encouragement, whether it's a question or a concern that you may want us to talk about for a second. This
Mhm.
is your opportunity to let me know that you want to come on and join, because I do want to be respectful for her time. Um, because I told y'all were in for a treat tonight. Y'all are definitely in for a treat because the journey.
While we wait for people, if you don't mind me, I want to say one more
Uh-huh.
thing.
Go
It's
ahead.
in that surgery, I lost the ability to have kids. I don't have no children, never will have children, but I have a lot of spiritual kids. And one of the things that you were reminding me of right now, what you were saying, is getting caught up in the emotions and the feelings. Anytime that I looked out my window and I saw parents walking with their baby, it reminded me that I would never have that. Anytime that I saw somebody pregnant, it reminded me that I was not never going to experience that. So I was going through an emotional roller coaster ride, not only dealing with cancer, but the ability to not have kids, that was hard. That was rough. And my emotions, my feelings, they were everywhere. And I would just sit there and cry. But you know what? You're right, Crystal. Don't stay there, people. Ladies, gentlemen, don't stay there. Get out of that. Because see, the enemy's gonna come and try and keep you there. He's
Yeah.
gonna try to keep you depressed. He's gonna try to keep you, woe is me. He's gonna try to keep you there. But that's not what God has purpose. God has a purpose for your pain. God has a purpose for this process. God has a purpose for this journey. And it's so that number one, He be glorified and that you can be a testimony of what God can do. And I'm telling you, I just want everybody to understand that the healing anointing of God is very tangible and transferable. And when the connection is made as a result of faith, that healing power can be transformed from heaven to your physical body where it is needed, and healing is the result. It takes faith. And don't stay in the emotion and feelings of that. Be encouraged. I trust me, I understand where you're at. I really do.
And you know, I don't know, like for me, and this is just a pointer to help process, right? And I hope that this helps you process. But what I started doing, like, and this is weird, right? Like for me, I have two children, and after losing my breast, the reality was, what if you have another child and then you can't breastfeed? But now I'm faced with a woman who has been told that you cannot have children. So it puts things into a perspective, right?
Mm.
But in the process of me thinking the things that I have thought and that I felt when it came down to losing my breasts at such a young age, I started to think of like the negatives for me, right? It was, I'm in my 30s, I don't have breasts, I've lost, the woman parts of me, What you see is awesome, but it's a whole mental process underneath these clothes, right? So I started to tell myself for every negative thought that I would think, positive ones. I don't have the body that I had before. However, I'm still here. However, um, do I really want more kids? I mean, with the way of the world is what
Right.
I mean. Like with the
Mm-hmm.
way of the world,
Yeah.
is that really a plan? Is that really a goal? The way that things look. So I try to remind myself that it's not always what it
Right.
seems.
Right.
Lord, you took this part in order to keep me here for a greater purpose. Maybe the greater purpose for you is to do more
Right.
missionary work. Maybe it is for you to support into the younger community and the younger children. So God wanted you to focus on it. So I try to make the understanding as to why,
Important.
for me, I have to learn. I didn't like me back then, but now I have to learn how to love me for real.
Right.
Even
Right.
though my body looks different and I don't have the parts of me that I used to have, now it's a whole nother thing. Like I have to go through this mental process and reprogram myself to be thankful
Right.
because it could be so much worse.
Yes.
And I don't know if that'll help you process and understand where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
but for every negative, just try to think of three positives and
Yes.
lead with it.
Yeah. God is such a God of order that I would say many years ago, I was visiting my spiritual mother's church, and it happened to be this lady that came up to me, and I didn't know who she was. She just said to me, she goes, "You're gonna have a lot of children." And that kind of scared me back then, right? Because I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, how many children are we talking about? I don't want that many children, right?" And she goes, "Nope, God showed me you're gonna have a lot of children." And I said, "Really?" She goes, "You're gonna have a lot of spiritual kids." I said, "Okay." And so when I became, when I started going through this process and I lost my ability to have kids, God reminded me many years ago of that word. And He said, "Yes, you're losing the ability to have physical kids, but because I'm making you a spiritual mom to many kids."
Yep.
And so you don't lose, you actually gain. And I'm like, God is such a God of order.
Yep.
When the Bible says that he our steps are already ordered of God, they truly are. He already knew what was going to happen, but he already put everything in order so that I could be able not to be depressed and down, but to say, you know what? There are other kids, young people that need a spiritual mom, that need somebody to love on them. And I've had that privilege and honor being in Poland, and I'm super excited to go back.
Girl, listen. Mm, it's not like, for me, it wasn't kids, it was sisters. Like, I'm the only girl, the middle child. So for me, it was sisters. It was me wanting sisters. Lord, I want to be understood. Like, I want to have a girl that I can talk to that understands me. And now I have so many sisters, I can't keep up. Some days it's legit overwhelming because I'm like, I ain't checked in on this person, because that's just me. Like, I've always had a servant heart. I've always wanted to be there for others
Right.
because I'm a firm believer that you never know what a person is going through. And I've lived a life of suffering in silence because I didn't want to hurt other people, or I cared too much about what other people thought and all of the things. So I was like, Lord, I wish I had a sister so that even if she got mad, the only thing she could do was go to her house, get herself together, and then we're still sisters at the end of the day.
Right.
Like, I wanted that connection. And God was like, oh, okay, I hear you. And then one day I was like, oh, I'm going to give me a mommy makeover. I'm going to be snatched. I'm going to be fine. He was like, got you. Everything that you want. He's very intentional. When I say in order, it may not be. And like my pastor said a long time ago, how you cannot ask God to bless you and then tell him how to do it. I didn't say,
That's right.
Lord, I want a sister, just, a random person off the street. I didn't say, Lord, I want to have a mommy makeover and just, live my best life. I said one day, and he was like, I got you. You ain't even got to wait for that. But it's going to come with a price.
Yes.
But you're going to get the sisters that you want at the same time, and you're going to get the body that you think you want. And I'm going to show you something. It's a lesson in it. And it's a lesson on being appreciative for me.
Yes.
Because I wasn't appreciative of my body.
Mm,
I was like, I had 2 kids. These girls is kind of hanging a little bit, and I'm in my 30s.